This is KCBD News Channel 11's Daybreak Today.
Now at 6, the Hollis Daniels trial continues this morning. We'll be live at the courthouse with a look at today's proceedings. Plus, a Midland man has been sentenced following a 2017 drunken driving crash. And the U.S. plans to examine debris from the suspected Chinese spy balloon. We'll tell you what investigators hope to find out. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Michael Cantu, in for Angie Wynn this morning. We'll get to those stories in a moment, but first, let's check in with Steve Devine for a check of this morning's forecast. He's looking at the tower cam. Very shaky this morning, right, Steve?
It is, and that's an indication, of course, that we have some gusty winds in the area. So that vibration, winds here at the surface, 15 to 25, but we're getting gusts to 35 miles per hour, and we may still get occasional gusts up to about 40, especially through the morning. This follows the cold front that came through last night. Behind the front now, the temperature at Plainview is 37, Lubbock is 40, Lamesa 46. So you can see the 30s and 40s on the map right now, but we have that brisk wind, so it feels like it's in the mid-20s at Plainview, near 30 Lubbock, Levelland, close to freezing over there at Seminole. So cold start to the day, especially if you step out into that wind, and that continues through the morning. It'll start to let up just a little bit this afternoon, but it's still going to be a chilly breeze. Temperatures only in the 40s this afternoon. We hit 78 degrees yesterday, Michael. Very spring-like. Today, a little bit more winter-like. Just a reminder from Mother Nature.
See what tomorrow gives us then. Thank you very much, Steve. The capital murder trial of Hollis Daniels III continues this morning. He's charged with shooting and killing a Texas Tech police officer in October of 2017. We now go live to Patricia Perry, who's out at the courthouse to tell us what we should expect today. Patricia, what can you tell us?
Michael, Hollis Daniel III
going on there. We have some technical issues going on there, so we'll just explain it to you. Hollis Daniels III, he pleaded guilty yesterday in court, saying he is responsible for shooting and killing Officer Floyd East Jr. Now it's a question of what his punishment will be. Now, today we're expecting to hear more testimony from witnesses and some debate over what that punishment will include. Prosecutors want the death penalty, but his defense is working to build a case to spare his life. The jury would have to make a unanimous decision in order for Daniels to get the death penalty, though. If it's not unanimous, he will get life without parole. That trial resumes at 9 this morning. We will be there all day long to bring you the latest updates online and on the air. And we'll try to check back in with Patricia, see if we can fix those bugs in the system. A Midland man will serve 5 months in prison and 10 years probation after being convicted of manslaughter. Alexander May was drunk and speeding down the wrong lanes of South Loop when he hit Jonathan Pesqueda's car head-on. His blood alcohol level was found to be 3 times the legal limit at the time of the crash.
I promise you, Alex May will never, ever, ever drink and drive again.
Lubbock needs to change because there is so much drinking and driving in Lubbock, Texas. It is horrible, and it's always with the young kids. And I thought the jury would see and try and make a change, but they did not.
May must also have an interlock system that will require breath checks before his car starts in order to remain out of prison. Internationally, the search for survivors continues this morning after a powerful earthquake in Turkey and Syria. That death toll has now passed 5,000 people and continues to climb. Isabel Rosales reports on the search for survivors and what is making it more dangerous. But first, a warning, some of the images are graphic and could be hard to watch.
From under the dust and rubble, a small hand reaches out. Volunteer white helmet rescuers pulling out a Syrian boy from the debris, alive. But their frantic search for life is not enough.
We need help, we need support, from immediate support from anyone who can support us.
The catastrophic 7.8 magnitude earthquake collapsing buildings as people slept in bed. The U.S. Geological Survey predicts the death toll could rise by the thousands based on the location of the quake in Turkey and Syria. It's one of the strongest to hit the region since 1939.
We're not ready to deal with something like this. It's bigger than us and bigger than any NGO operating in northwest Syria to to handle this disaster.
Survivors unable to go home, taking shelter wherever they can find, even in cars.
If you want to say hello to my kids.
But strong aftershocks complicating the search for those trapped, the biggest of them measuring a powerful 7.5 magnitude. International help is on the way. Several countries are donating money, equipment, and manpower as rescuers dig for any signs of life. I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
Now to Washington, D.C. President Biden's second State of the Union address is tonight. The president is expected to bring up recent economic achievements, one of which is the lowest unemployment rate in more than 50 years. He'll also discuss the war in Ukraine and growing tensions with China. The speech comes as recent polls are showing a 45% approval rating for the president, and decreases to 36% when it comes to his handling of the economy. You can watch the address at 8 o'clock tonight right here on KCBD News Channel 11. The U.S. military is collecting remnants of the suspected Chinese spy balloon that was shot down. The balloon was carrying a payload weighing more than 2,000 pounds. China says it was a weather balloon that went off course. The White House says U.S. spies planes circled the balloon, taking pictures of it and learning more about China's capabilities.
We were also able to ensure the protection of any sensitive information that the balloon would not be able to collect against us because we knew exactly where it was going before it got there.
The goal now is to analyze the wreckage to determine what information China was able to learn. Meanwhile, the White House faces questions from lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle have some serious questions about how long they knew about this, why they didn't shoot it down sooner, what information, if any, was able to be collected.
The Pentagon adds it did not shoot the balloon down sooner because the debris would endanger Americans on the ground. China called the destruction of its balloon an overreaction and says it reserves the right to deal with similar situations. In Texas, 3 students are dead and 6 others hospitalized near Dallas after overdosing on fentanyl. Agents arrested a couple in Carrollton who are accused of dealing fentanyl out of their home, which is between a middle school and a high school. Now, according to a criminal complaint, the 2 dealt a fake Percocet and Oxycontin pills, which were laced with fentanyl, to several teen drug dealers. The couple now faces federal charges and can look to possibly 20 years in federal prison if they are convicted. 7:06 this morning, time to turn to Steve Devine, get a check of what we should expect as we're heading out the door this morning. Morning, Steve.
Good morning. The weather whiplash that I mentioned yesterday, we hit 78 degrees yesterday here in Lubbock, 20 degrees above the average for the date and only 3 degrees shy of the record. 81 degrees on this date back in 2015. Now, the record high for today, by the way, is 84 degrees. It was tied back in 2015, but it was actually set back in 1918. Let's take a look at what's ahead for us, starting with current conditions as you head out. After the cold front last night, still have a pretty gusty wind. Lubbock Airport right now is mostly cloudy, 40 degrees, northerly wind at 25, gusting to 35 miles per hour. This is likely to continue through midday, early afternoon. Feels like about 29 degrees out in that wind. Plainview currently is 37 degrees, and the current wind chill there is 27. So again, a really cold start to the day, especially if you're out in the wind, which will continue at about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Might get a little bit stronger where you see some of the orange shading here closer to 20 to 30. But here in the Lubbock area, with that 15 to 25 sustained wind, gust to 35, perhaps occasionally this morning near 40 miles per hour. You'll see the winds gradually drop off this afternoon. Not a whole lot until we get to about sunset, 6:24 this evening. Then those winds will start to let up quite a bit. And our high temperatures, again, I mentioned 78 yesterday. The high temperature today, just 45 degrees. So after those really pleasant, mostly sunny conditions yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, we had the light wind. Today, just a reminder that the season is still winter with those high temperatures only in the 40s. We'll take a look at the 7-day forecast and see our temperature trends through the rest of the week and the weekend here in a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Steve. Still to come on Daybreak today, one area family is finding relief as others help them recount their son's memory after a tragic wreck and bad weather. Plus, we'll tell you how one familiar face on a returning TV series was talked into reprising his role. You're waking up with us on Daybreak today.